Hello again, and welcome to another episode of A Different Current. I need to confess something. Some of you might have noticed that I've been away for a month. And the first reason is that I've been away for a few weeks visiting family in Cyprus, and right after I returned to Spain, where I had surgery. I'm actually still recovering, but in a good place. This episode has a deep meaning for me, because I'm gonna be trying to present a war or a divide that it's happening in the background, and I believe that many of us also carry. So get comfortable, pour your favorite soft drink, coffee, tea, glass of wine, dim the lights, and let's get into the journey of discovering ourselves deeper. I'm Chrysanthos Konstantinidis, and this is an episode on the war between intellectuality and vanity. There are parts of us we learn to love loudly, and others we learn to punish quietly. For me, those two parts were the mind and the mirror. Two currents that were never meant to fight, but somehow did. And maybe your own version of this split is different. Maybe yours isn't the mind and the mirror. Maybe it's the one who wants to rest and the one who refuses to slow down. Maybe it's the part that wants connection and the part that protects you from that. The part who wants to be seen and the part that hides. For me, the tension between the mirror and the mind started much earlier than I ever admitted. Growing up in Cyprus, visibility felt dangerous, and even I can remember in adolescence, I would shrink myself when I was walking in open spaces of my school, just because I wanted to avoid being seen. I would avoid eye contact with people, not because someone told me to, but because being noticed felt like stepping into a spotlight I hadn't earned. And maybe you know that feeling, a part of you that learned to shrink when all you wanted to do is shine. Years later, during my recent trip to Cyprus, I stood at an open-air party wearing a sheer shirt, warm skin under the fabric, a gold chain catching the light, and people noticed and stared, not with hostility, but with surprise, as if they were seeing a version of me I had kept hidden for years. I remember entering the party shoulders relaxed. I was able to feel myself in the space. But moments later, I remember the mind came there and told me once again, are you sure you should be this visible? So I think we all have a version of that voice inside of us. A version that regulates, corrects, or even apologizes silently. In reality, the vain part of me wasn't really vain. It was young, hungry for visibility after years of invisibility. And maybe this is the reason why I also pursued modeling in my 20s, in an attempt to be visible, to be seen, understood, and maybe also validated after years of being invisible. So your vain side, whatever that looks like for you, might be something similar, might be your expressive self, your sensuality, your softness, your need for attention, or maybe your desire to be held. On the other hand, I owe much of my professional success, also my ability to navigate life successfully and staying composed, to my intellectual part, especially in personal life navigating family hardships, and in professional life being able to grow in highly complex professional environments, especially abroad. The intellectual part of me is the strategist, the observer, the one who survived by staying composed. But your intellectual part might be something else, the overthinker, the perfectionist, the caretaker, the part which must stay in control. And then there's the war. These two selves, the mirror and the mind, were never meant to be enemies. But somehow I made them opponents. And maybe you've done too. Maybe you've turned your two sides as two rivals. I'd, for example, take a selfie at the gym, being proud of my progress, many times post it, and right afterwards judge myself for posting a vain part of me. I'd flirt or in a Barcelona cafe, then shame myself for it. And your battlefield might be different. Maybe you silence your desire to rest. Maybe you turn down your need for affection. Maybe you punish the part of you that wants more. We all have a war somewhere inside. And over time, I began to see something softer beneath both sides. My mind protected my inner world, and the mirror protected my longing. And the same may be true for you. Your difficult side might actually be protecting you. Your embarrassing side might be asking to be understood. Your irrational side might be trying to keep you alive in ways that logic can't. None of these parts are wrong. Maybe they're incomplete. And when you zoom out, and maybe try to see yourself through earlier, younger eyes, maybe through the eyes of a kid, you might also realize that these tensions show up in different disguises everywhere. In our pursuit for the perfect body, in the way that we use nightlife or visibility to chase validation, in the curated intimacy of social media and digital dating, digital connection. Everything starts connecting and starts making sense. I can fondly remember the recent selfie I posted in the gym changing room right after my swimming session, wearing my favorite red Speedo swimming briefs. I posted it to highlight that consistency is key, and of course I was proud of my physique, keeping in shape when I did so. A few days later, at a friendly dinner, a friend of mine came to me to discuss that selfie, saying that it was a selfie posted with your underwear, and it was very sexualized somehow. She wasn't doing it under a judgmental prism, but this is how she perceived it. And to be honest, that was one of the few moments where I felt like you don't owe anyone the explanation. And also, interpretation, it's also at the eyes of the receiver. So for me, on that instance, it just felt like this is how people will be experiencing things, and you just have to take the space to just allow yourself to exist and express in a way that makes sense for you. Maybe the mirror was never meant to threat who I was. Maybe the mind was never the full solution. Maybe they're just two currents trying to bring me home from different directions. So I ask you gently, which parts of you think are at war right now? Is it the achiever and the one who wants to breathe? Is it the romantic and the skeptic? Or is it the adult and the inner child? And which part of you do you punish quietly? Which part are you trying to silence because it doesn't fit the version of yourself you're trying to present to the world? What if neither of those sides were your enemy? What if both are holding pieces of your truth? The work isn't choosing. The work is listening and maybe rejecting these made up scenarios and theories that society shoves inside our brain from a young age. Letting this part sit next to each other without forcing a winner might be the solution. Because this moment right now might be the moment for your integration, where nothing has to be resolved, where you don't have to choose a side, where all of you gets to breathe, and where everything is allowed. And finally, in the end, it was never a war between vanity and intellect at all. Maybe those were just names I gave to two drives inside me. One that wanted to be seen, and one that wanted to be safe. Not opposites, not enemies. Just two forms of perception, two ways of navigating the world. One reaching outward, and one pulling inward. And maybe your own conflict isn't really between the labels you've given your sides either. Maybe it's simply between the part of you that longs and that part that protects. And finally, they've both been trying to love you in the only ways they know how. Thank you for listening to this episode, for being with me through this moment. As always, feel free to share any thoughts, feedback in the comment section of Spotify. The different current podcast is also now available in other platforms, including YouTube. Feel free to check the link in my Instagram bio profile to find the relevant platform that suits your listening habits. If this episode helped you see in a kinder eye a part of you that felt it should be denied, feel free to share your thoughts through Instagram and let me know, because as always, this is our space. It's a space for us to reflect and think deeply. I'm Chrysanthos Konstantinidis, and see you at the next one.